Well, before we conclude, one quick question for everybody on the panel. You've discussed complicated issues today, and there's certainly not one single thought to guide us going forward. But if you had one thing that you would want to share as something to keep in mind as inspiration going forward, anything that you would want to leave us with as your last remarks to the group before we wrap up?
I've done a lot more thinking about holiness in relation or since this happened, and have been very conscious of looking for holiness, and I'm surprised at how much of it I see and find in not only the Christian faithful, but all the people I encounter. The parents walking their children to school on the streets of DC, waiting for buses, the homeless people, going to parishes and watching parents with their children. That kind of keeps me, I think, on an even keel. Look for holiness.
If there's one takeaway point I want everyone to take away, is that the church's history, the church, her experience, there's a lot there in the past we can look to for some inspiration, some insights about lay co-responsibility with the clergy that does not involve revolutionary or even Madisonian nice constitutional overthrows of the church hierarchy. I think the Catholic tradition has things in it already, and we can also get insights from our Protestant brethren as well without becoming the Lutheran Church or another church. So that's what I would like people to take away from me.
Yeah, I would second that. And if there's anything left that I have to add about history and how it can help us, is precisely what I said before, that it teaches us to be always vigilant, have faith, have hope, relish the holiness of the people who display it, but always be on the lookout for things that have been happening for 2,000 years or more, because if it's been happening for 2,000 years, right, any actuary could tell you there's a high chance it's going to happen again.
One would be that the truth will set you free. And I think people, at minimum, have to stop telling lies or misdirecting things and speak truth wherever they are in the church or the world. And I think, I mean this in a positive sense, I sometimes have heard the phrase, keeping your powder dry. And I think that one thing that this crisis has brought home to me, in a way that I think even 2002 didn't, was that you can sometimes say, well, now's not the time to speak or act or do something. I have to keep my powder dry for something in the future. And I think, in one sense, I don't mean to be militaristic about this, but that I think that the crisis that the Catholic Church in the U.S. is undergoing right now, both internally and I think in different ways in its engagement with the broader culture, the point is not to sort of start firing away violently, but I think to be able to speak truth and to not be afraid of consequences with that. To do so, to speak the truth with love, but to do so with boldness.
My going ahead thought, I mean fairly prosaically, is a motto of scholastic theology: distinguish in order to unite. One makes distinctions, but you have to pull them back together. I think the distinction of clergy and laity is grounded in the divine constitution of the church and part of the strength of the Catholic tradition. But when distinguishes, always to unite. We're not going to deal with these issues except by the collaboration and cooperation, the unity of clergy and laity together. We need to distinguish, but always to unite.